Okay, welcome everybody, and thank you for joining us this morning. Please feel free to post any questions in the chat for any of the staff members as we go along so they can address those. And by all means, at the end, if you have any information for the committee, jump in there at the end with any kind of announcements. So first up, we have Kathy. She's going to provide us some updates on the ARC program and some funding awards.
Good morning. Thank you. Yes, I'd like to begin with giving you just a caption of where we are with ARC and the federal budget. And at the end of September, President Trump signed the continuing resolution that funded many federal agencies, in which ARC was one of them. We're very pleased that we did not take a reduction in funding over the previous year. So the 13 states will be receiving about $1.75 million that will go for programs and projects that funds us through September 21. And with that, Eastgate can now move forward in our full application process. We did hold our workshop, our virtual workshop, the first one, last month on October 19th. It was well attended. We didn't have any glitches. Screen sharing went well, so I was really pleased with the interaction with the grantees. And the full applications will actually be due this month on November 16th. So with that, one of the program announcements I have for you, which Jeff and Justin have put on our website, that you can find on the top news section. Very pleased that the Power Awards were announced on October 14th. That was $43.3 million in funding for about 51 projects. You may recall the power funding is for projects that have experienced unemployment due to the downturn in the coal industry, whether that's coal mining, coal-fired power plants, or the supply chain. So of those 51 projects, you'll see that about more than half of them focused on the recovery to work efforts. Certainly the opioid crisis and addiction within Appalachia continues to be disproportionately high. So half of the projects went for that, as well as broadband. And in Ohio, of that $43 million, we received $5.7 million, and that went to 7 projects. Eastgate District did really well. Of those 7 projects in Ohio, we received 2 of them. So our district will get an additional just under $1.5 million for those 2 projects within our region. And Eastgate was actually the applicant on one of the projects. It's our broadband project. It's called the Youngstown Smart 2 Network. So we requested $1,450,000 for that project. And I would like to say that this was a true team effort of the Eastgate staff, with our transportation department, and myself, and certainly Stephen Zubik. It seemed like we were joined at the hip, but there was a lot of effort by the entire Eastgate team in putting the application together. As I mentioned, it's a broadband project that will serve the downtown Youngstown Central Business District, which is in an opportunity zone. We receive more points for that because we are in an opportunity zone. But basically, the project will be laying about 10 miles of fiber on conduit on 7 streets. And this will be the first step in establishing a broadband network within our downtown region. This will support economic development for both new and existing businesses. And certainly we realize in this world of COVID how much broadband connection is important to us. So it will also improve our connection with the hospitals, telehealth, education, remote working. And we anticipate that the project will lead to about 119 new jobs and support 212 businesses within our downtown area. Now, as I mentioned, it is a broadband project, but it's a small portion of the overall improvements that are going on in downtown Youngstown right now with our $50 million in investments, and part of the build, this match was used for this project. And part of the reason why I'm going first today is because we have a workshop Zoom conference with ARC at 11 o'clock. So thank you for letting me go first. So that is the first power grant for Eastgate as the applicant. And then also T-Bike, which is now Bright, was a successful applicant. It's a $49,950,000 request. And that is a project for 3 states. It is called the Energy Storage Roadmap for Appalachia, Ohio, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania. And it is identifying energy assets that will be putting the framework together to establish an energy storage cluster. Some of the key things that they'll be looking at is energy storage for grid generation, transportation, and electronics. So hats off to the team at Bright for that successful application. We're really fortunate that our congressional support was very strong with Senator Portman as well as Congressman Tim Ryan. We appreciate their collaboration and their support so that we were successful in getting these funding as well. If you're interested in the full app or the full article, you can find the links that Justin's showing it on the lower portion of our screen here. And you can also look at all the 51 projects. They are broken out by state, and there's a full listing for that as well. So those are the 2 topics I wanted to talk about today, and I'll be happy to entertain any questions.
Kathy, there's a question from Sharon Woodbury about asking if you could repeat what you said about the jobs and businesses impacted in the downtown area with the conduit coming.
Sure. As part of ARC, job creation, job retention is a real important element. So this is an opportunity that we at our ARC staff partnered with our transportation and economic development staff to formulate these figures. And with that, in our application, when we were looking at our service area, we were able to plot out the impact of the project. And of that, we identified 212 businesses that will be able to have access to the broadband service, as well as with those new businesses and supporting existing businesses, we anticipate that 119 jobs will be created over a 3-year period. I hope that answers your question. Thank you for asking. If there's more information you'd like, certainly feel free to reach out to me. I'd be glad to discuss.
And can I jump in? This is Jim and Kathy, just to support that for Sharon's information. We worked with Hunter from the city to help come up with some of those numbers and help us gather some of the information. So it was certainly a partnership with the city, and we used his knowledge and information and data.
Okay, no further questions? All right, thank you, Kathy. Okay, next, Stephanie will discuss the Clean Ohio Fund Round 15. Stephanie. Hey, Stephanie. Okay, we can move to item number 4 then and come back to Stephanie once she gets on here. Okay, next we'll have Justin. He'll give us a presentation of the upcoming fiscal year 22 planning grant.
Good morning, everyone. So just an introduction to our upcoming program grant cycle for the planning grant. We've done this 2 grant cycles in the past. So we've had a couple successful rounds where we've had a lot of interest in this program. And I'll just kind of go through some of the setup and the foundation for the program. A lot of it is largely the same as it has been in the past. The focus area of the grant, what we're looking for. Communities really seem to be responding to how this was structured, so we didn't want to shake things up too much. So really what we're looking for is this grant's going to fund planning-based activities that are focused on active transportation type ideas. So you can see on the screen there, there's kind of that larger picture focus area of what we're looking for. And then on the right-hand side, got some specific grant information, which I think is important to call out because these are some of the frequently asked questions that we get. So the program total is $30,000 that we're making available. That can be split up any number of ways. If one project comes in that's asking for the full amount and the scoring committee decides that that project meets all the criteria and looks like a great project, it could go that way. In the past, we've funded 3 projects per grant cycle. So we've been able to divvy that money up and make that spread and get a bunch of products out of it. We have no preference for how that works. So that's really up to the scoring committee that we bring in. We let them review all the submissions that come in and make that decision in the end. The source of the funds is federal. So just to keep that in the back of your mind when you're applying for this, you'll have to know what kind of reporting you'll have to do when you receive these types of funds. And there is a minimum cash match of 10%. So as we keep moving forward, so here's some of the principles, like I had mentioned, looking at active transportation, complete streets, land use and community design, economic development, capital improvement plan, quality of life. You don't have to check all of those boxes. What we're really looking for is that you're taking these elements and being able to kind of extrapolate on those and fit those into a project area that you're interested in, that maybe some of your residents are asking about. Maybe it's a particular corridor that you're looking at that you're really looking to invest in, and come up with some deeper planning for those locations. Eligibility. So any communities with legal authority to sponsor federal aid capital improvement projects. So most of you on this call today, in most of our member communities, you are able to partner with other groups. So if you have a neighborhood association that's interested in doing something, the community would have to be the lead applicant for that project, but you're able to partner up and work with community groups, and we encourage that. We want to see you bringing in stakeholders and involving as many people that are kind of have a stake in those locations as possible. And just to reiterate again, only planning activities are eligible, no preliminary engineering, no final design, anything like that. And is you come up with ideas and talk through it with us here, we'll help you kind of figure out what is or isn't eligible, or some things can maybe toe the line, and we could have those conversations as these ideas get brought up. So the program schedule, we've got this here, and then I'll point everyone to the website where we've got all of the information for this program available. But January 15th is the deadline for pre-applications. It is a super easy form, just basically getting your idea in so that we have a chance to take a look at it and make recommendations to you when it comes time for the full application to be put together, so you are able to put together the strongest project possible. And we hope that we can kind of really give the scoring committee a full suite of really great projects. So just a few questions in that pre-application. If you're thinking about something, if you've got ideas, if you've been talking to people and they're bringing up issues, feel free to reach out to me. I can help you walk through the ideas and see how you can maybe structure those to be successful projects for this program. And then after January 15th, we'll open up the full applications. Those will be due February 12th. We'll go through some internal review. We'll take a look at everything that comes in to make sure that all the information is provided. There's nothing really missing from those full applications, and that they're ready to be submitted to the scoring committee. We'll give some time to the applicants to be able to provide any supplemental information or correct anything that we may see as missing. We'll give the scoring committee about 2 weeks to review those, ask any questions, get any feedback from the applicants, and make their scoring recommendations. And then it'll come back to TAC and CAB for approval in April. End of April, we'll get policy board approval, and then we'll be rolling kind of with the rest of this process. So we'll work out the grant agreement between the awardees, get those projects started, and we'll check in periodically with those awardees to make sure that everything is going smoothly and there's no major issues. Like I said, on our website for the planning grant has all of the information. It's got the program guide that's got all the nitty-gritty details. It talks you through what the program's for, examples of some projects that this funding can be used for. It's got all of your information about scoring and what the questions are going to be for the application and how the points divvy out and what you really need to pay attention to have a successful application. And as always, feel free to reach out to me with any questions, ideas big or small. We're looking for everything for this program. So really want to be able to provide the scoring committee a good slate of projects again this year, like we have the last 2 rounds. But if anybody has any questions.
Okay, no questions? All right, thank you, Justin. Okay, Stephanie, is she on here?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, we hear you now, Stephanie. If you want to go ahead and lead the discussion on the Clean Ohio Fund Round 15.
I sure can. Thank you. And sorry about that difficulty back a few minutes ago. Just want to remind everybody that in 2 weeks, starting tomorrow, Round 15 Clean Ohio applications will be due at Eastgate. One big difference is this year, we will have over $3 million available for funding, and a couple items to note when applying. And you can go ahead and advance the screen next, Justin, please. They're due November 20th, and we're going to be doing electronic submissions through Eastgate's website. So the website right there, if you click on, if you go to our Clean Ohio link and click on the link there, you will see, scroll down to the bottom, you'll see an area where you will be able to apply electronically with your application. We are asking that one hard copy is submitted to Eastgate by November 20th, so that if we run into any issues, we can scan that application in and send it to our local NRAC members. So this way they will have something to review. Another note that is very, very, very important is that appraisals are due at the time of application. So whether that is an appraisal report or a full appraisal, that is what will be due with your application. We've been working over the past couple weeks with a couple entities to make sure that their projects are eligible and helping them with their applications, such as pulling out documents and providing them to them so that they can have a more robust application. So I encourage anybody who is applying and has any questions, or if you have a consultant or another group applying on your behalf, please reach out to me so that I can make sure that you have the right environmental discussion within your application, because again, unlike the infrastructure side, this is all conservation, stream restoration, wetland restoration type projects. So by all means, please reach out to me if you need any help. One other thing I want to make mention is this past week, the Ohio EPA sent out a link to their draft WRRSP project management plan, and happy to say that for program year 2022, the city of Warren made the dam removal project for the Summit Street Dam. So their project, congrats, made the draft list, and we should know the final cut by Christmas of this year. So hopefully we will have an early Christmas gift to the city of Warren. So excited to hear that. And it's wonderful and a blessing to see that regardless of, any speed bumps we've had or are experiencing, we know that we're still moving forward within certain reaches of the river to help that reach attain Clean Water Act attainment statuses. So congratulations, and we'll just keep our fingers crossed that you guys make the final cut. So thank you, everyone.
Okay, I don't see any questions, Stephanie. Thank you, Stephanie.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Appreciate that update. Next, we got Myrta. She's got a couple items on the agenda today. One, she'll provide a status of the 5310 coordination plan development for the 2 counties. And then she'll also have a discussion on the research grant with WRTA and Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority.
Thank you, Gary. Good morning, everyone. Currently, next slide, please, Justin. Thank you. Currently, a regional coordination plan is being updated for Mahoney and Trumbull County. The plan is a federal requirement for designated recipients to program and utilize that type of funding from the FTA's Section 5310 program. And basically that is to enhance mobility of seniors and individuals with disabilities, and the plan will incorporate it for the region, Mahoney and Trumbull County. One of the things that was previously done in the past, there were 2 different plans. Trumbull Transit had their plan, WRTA had theirs. We'll be looking at taking those plans, doing the community outreach also. So if you get surveys from either Mike Solomon, WRTA, or know of any organization that we need to reach out to that deals with people with disabilities, seniors, limited English, the LEP, minority communities, low income, can you forward that information to myself or Mike or Dean Harris? Next slide, please. This is kind of a reflection slide for all of us. A year ago, the participating communities agreed to have a regional transit system that would combine and utilize FTA 5307 funds for a regional transportation system that incorporates excuse me, Mahoney and Trumbull counties. This was a monumental moment for our region because we are the first area in the state of Ohio that is putting this together on regionalization. We got the support from the Ohio Department of Transportation, and was one of the initiatives of the governor of the great state of Ohio on regionalizing transit for transit properties. Next slide, please. As part of the regionalization process, there was an informational meeting that was held on October 28th at the Trumbull County Commissioner's Office to talk about the process of transit regionalization. Currently, a transit plan is under development for Trumbull County and should be available on or before December of 2020. I want to emphasize that no decisions were made at this meeting on the type of transit service for Trumbull County until the service plan is completed. It's been reviewed and approved by the county commissioners, and public outreach taking place after that plan is done. So it's basically, there was a lot of discussion on how we're going to do this. And once you get the attorneys involved, you know, that's going to take some time also, and we want to make sure that it's done correctly. Next slide, please. The next topic I want to talk about is the FTA 2021 AIM grant. Next slide. As most of you are aware, it has these long names for grant programs. And actually, this particular grant, called the FTA Section 5310 National Competitive Grant for Accelerating Innovative Mobility AIM Grant, Enhancing Life with Automated Transportation for Everyone, ELATE. So I'm just going to refer to it as AIM grant. So the WRTA was awarded over $2.3 million for this nationally competitive grant and was programmed in Eastgate's General Policy Board Resolution back in October. Congratulations to WRTA and the innovations that are taking place for our region. The WRTA will deploy electric autonomous vehicles, automated vehicles that will be phased in nicely with the build project. Basically, what they're going to do is take those type of vehicles and implement an urban loop in the central business district with the electric vehicles, while the other transit system is going to utilize their vehicles for paratransit services. The grant requires a 50% local match that is shared by WRTA and SCVAC. The tentative date for design and an RFP to be developed is going to be in 2021 with implementation phase in 2022. So we're looking forward to moving this project forward and tying it in nicely with what's taking place on Fifth Avenue at the university and the CBD district. This concludes my report. Gary?
Okay, thank you, Myrta. I don't see any questions for you, but thanks, Myrta, for the updates. Okay, next we have Grant with a presentation on the US 224 roadway improvements. Grant.
Hi everyone. Want to do a quick overview here. Recently, ODOT District 4 went to ODOT for funding for a safety project to go in along 224 through Boardman. So it's actually 3 separate projects that they're looking at. One section is around Market Street to Southern Boulevard. Another section is basically from Southern Boulevard down to South Avenue, and then South Avenue down to Tiffany Boulevard. It's broken up 3 different ways. Along with that, the governor's got a list of his high priority locations, which intersection at Market Street is the 3rd highest, South Avenue is the 17th highest, Southern Boulevard's 27, Joanne Fabric's driveway was 41, and Tiffany is 68. Also 2 big segments up there at 45 and 47 on the governor's list. But also within that area, within our list for Mahoning County, we've got our 1st, our 2nd, our 3rd highest intersections, along with the 6th highest intersection, and a tie for 2 different segments that are our 2nd highest. The 12th and 7th segments are also falling within the same corridor that they're looking at. So there's a lot of the areas that's been concerned for the state and for us is all actually going to be covered throughout this, and hopefully do some great improvements. Next slide. So the first thing is going to be around between Market Street and Southern Boulevard. This is the first project that they're going to be going into. Next slide. So at Market Street, they've got a few different things they're going to be doing. They are going to be taking the eastbound lane that is right now is a right turn only and turning it into a straight through lane as well as right turn. Part of that will also come into across the street where there right now is a island with a right turn yield lane. They are going to be taking the island out and just having in a traditional right-hand turn lane there. So they'll actually free up space. They'll allow that through lane on the right side for the eastbound to continue straight through. They're also going to be adding in the dual turning left there on the northbound and adding in a additional lane on the southbound. That'll be a right-hand turn only. Next slide. Right at the entrance to the mall there, where there's currently is a light that you see on the left side. Their plan is they're going to take that light out. They are actually going to move the entrance to the mall down a little bit further, and they're going to line it up with Sheldon Avenue across the street. As of right now, the light's really close to the Market Street. It's a small area. There ends up being a lot of backups. There's a lot of rear-ending accidents that happen right in this area. And they'll at least tie in that Sheldon Avenue that has a little bit of traffic, at least, to hopefully make it easier for them to get in and out. They're also going to be adding for the westbound, they're going to add in a U-turn is going to be allowed at that light because they're going to be putting in some channelizing devices along this area so that people can get to where they're going a little bit easier. Next slide. At Southern Boulevard, there's a few big changes going on here. They're going to be getting rid of another one of the turns there in the right-hand turn, getting it a little bit straightened out there on the northbound. Big change is they're right now northbound on Southern Boulevard does not allow left turns. You're supposed to turn at street before, go over to California Avenue and take California Avenue up and take a left at the light there. But the plan is they want to take out the light at California, which is really close to Southern Boulevard. And they actually want to add in the left-hand turn lane there on the northbound, which anybody goes through there people are turning left anyways at this point in time, so hopefully that'll help straighten that out, at least make it a lot safer going through there. They're going to be continuing with that same eastbound far right lane where there's a few like right turn onlys. They're going to keep going with it being straight. One thing they're doing throughout this whole corridor is they're planning on making it 3 lanes going eastbound the whole way. Right now, that right-hand turn lane is pretty much there in most of these places, just they have them right turn only for each block. They want to keep that going straight through. So let's go on to the next slide. So the second project they're planning on doing is going to be down at South Avenue, Tiffany Boulevard, with a few extra little changes down there. Next, so at South Avenue, they got a few things going on here. They want to add in, for the westbound, they want to add in a right turn only lane. They also want to go with a dual left. Right now, there is cross marks blocking out part of that area. They want to actually turn them to 2 lefts, similar to how it's going on the eastbound right now. Again, you can see the eastbound, they're continuing that right-hand turn lane, which will end at the South Avenue. That'll be where it'll go back down to the 2 lanes. They're also going to add in a right turn lane on the northbound on South Avenue to ease that up there. They're going to close off a few of the different entrances to parking lots to reduce the access management issues that come up throughout that area. Next slide. Right now, the plan is that one of the things they want to do at the Tiffany Boulevard is they want to add in dual left turn lanes going out of there. They're also planning on adding some different channelizing devices there. They're looking at turning the Tiffany Boulevard northbound into a right turn in, right turn out only, with the plan of having people go around if they want to turn left. Let's go on to the next slide, start project number 3 they're proposing. So project 3 is a segment that goes between Southern Boulevard and South Avenue. A lot of this is the bigger areas. It's a lot of access from all the different parking lots. Next slide. So one of the things they're looking at is with the continuing of that eastbound, having that 3rd lane, they ran into a slight issue with Boardman Park is that the park doesn't have that space. So the plan is that they're basically going through the park area. They're going to shift the lanes north. They're going to add that extra lane space onto the north side. There'll be a slight shift there, the extra lane being adjusted up just to get past the park, so they don't take any right-of-way issues with the park and the environmental impacts there. Next slide. They are proposing removing the light at Joanne Fabrics. They will be turning it into right in, right out, but there'll also be a left-hand turn lane. So basically, they're going to put a channelizer in to have people so they're not going across at that area. And then they're going to allow U-turns to happen at Applewood Boulevard. And then next slide. And the last slide, which I have, is that they're going to be putting in throughout this section, they're going to be putting in a median there that's going to stop the people from crossing over. That's why they're putting in that U-turn at Applewood, so there's still going to be ways of getting around. There's a lot of issues with darting throughout the area in this area, so I think that's where they're hoping that this will be coming into it. I think that was my last slide. Yes. I know I went through everything really quick. There's a lot of stuff being covered throughout this area. They're really covering a lot of areas, a lot of different issues. I am not completely sure about the impact of transit. This is all being done by ODOT themselves, so I'm mostly just relaying their information, but I'd be glad to reach out to District 4 and get that information to you, Dean. Any other questions?
I think that's it, Grant. Thank you, Grant, for that presentation. Okay, next, Stephen will provide us with information on current funds available and future applications for the STBG, the CMAC, and TAP programs. Stephen.
Thanks, Gary. Good morning, everyone. You could jump right to the next slide. I've gotten a lot of questions recently of, what's upcoming on our funding rounds. When do we expect new applications to be available? Where is money available? So just wanted to give everyone a rundown of kind of where we're sitting. I'll start with our Surface Transportation Block Grant. Quick reminder that this program is mostly used for roadway resurfacings. The funds are also available for bridge replacements, bike pedestrian facilities, a lot of other projects as well. But we have about $6 million per year. If you want to jump to the next slide, this program, when we developed the TIP this time last year and in the spring, maybe try to click advance one more time, see if bring them all up. Sorry about that. When we developed the TIP in the spring, we really filled out our program. That TIP is from fiscal years 21 to 24. So as you see here, these are all negative numbers. This is where we want to be. This is where we need to be. This is the only way that we are safely able to spend our money each fiscal year. So an update to this program, expect to start hearing about applications in the spring. We'll have applications. We typically have them due in September. So the next application round will be due September of calendar year 2021. And as of now, I would expect that we would look for construction in fiscal years 24, 25. We're not able to dip into fiscal year 26 yet, but with the development of the next TIP next fall and into the following spring is when fiscal year 26 will come into play. So that's we're way out there as always, and I'll say it with all these programs, and especially with our TAP program coming up. If you get your first phases of your project complete and you're ready to go for construction, I don't think we've turned anyone away yet of being able to find some funds and being able to get your project done. So it may look bad that you're sitting here thinking you're not getting any project done in the next 4 or 5 years. That's not the case. Always push forward and get your project started and get your design done. If you want to jump to the next slide, we go into our congestion mitigation and air quality program. This is our CMAC program, and this is geared towards emissions reductions. And how that's done is by reducing congestion on the roadway, shortening our travel time. And we see that with roundabouts, we see that with signal upgrades. Anything that we're going to be able to show a calculation that shows a reduction in travel time, which therefore shows that reduction in emissions into the air. This program's awesome. Currently we offer 100% funding for roundabouts and for signal upgrades for coordinated signals. I should have mentioned previously for the STBG program, just a reminder that program, as well as our TAP program and anything related to CMAC that's not roundabouts and coordinated signals, we cover at 80% with 20% local match. So just a reminder there. If you want to jump into the next slide and pull those funding amounts up. The balances here look a little bit off. The way that our CMAC program operates, being a statewide CMAC program, it's looked more so as the whole program from year 1 to year 4 where we're at. So looking from fiscal year 21 to 24, sure, we're showing a huge negative balance in 23. We're showing some carryover in 21. This doesn't affect us as much as in the CMAC program compared to our STBG and TAP program. We look at it as, are you spending all your money over our current program years? Because the whole program gets looked at across the state. But again, we have some projects out in 22, 23, 24, even programming some out in 25 shortly. You'll start hearing about application process in January. Ken will start talking about that. So again, get your design done, get your right of way taken care of, and we'll find a way to get this money. This program, we often see I don't want to talk negatively, but we see more delays on these projects, due to the project types. We see these roundabouts, we see these bike trails. These are big projects that require, a lot of design, a lot of changes, require a lot of right-of-way acquisition. This stuff takes time, and everybody's best guess in the beginning as far as estimates go, timelines go. It's difficult to really nail those down. So that's why you see that positive balance in fiscal 21. No one's doing anything wrong. None of Eastgate, we're not doing anything wrong. The state, the project sponsors, stuff happens, unforeseen events. So again, January, start looking for application information there, and applications will be due in June. So start getting your ideas. Reach out to myself, reach out to Ken with ideas as far as, is it eligible? Should I get started? No reason not to start now. So if you want to jump over to the last program, our Transportation Alternatives program, this is more related to bicycle pedestrian facilities. We typically see sidewalks and safety lighting here, but really anything that's going to show an alternative transportation that's going to get someone from point A to point B, not in their vehicle. It's geared towards helping get people safely. Safety is a big factor there. That's why we see safety lighting, not decorative lighting. Get people from point A to point B, walking, biking, scooters, however that may be. That's what this program's geared towards. If you want to jump to the next slide and start showing our balances, you see again here, we had a bit of money bumped into our program from previous years and ran into some issues as well. So we do have some money available. I don't believe we're at risk of losing anything. No worries there. But this is just a quick heads up to anybody who has a transportation alternatives program project out in the future. I'll shoot an email out to everybody who does. But just a quick heads up that if you are getting forward with your design, getting through with everything, and you want your project done now, you want your project done in the spring, let me know. We can absolutely make that happen. We will talk more. Again, I'll reach out in an email. We'll talk more in a couple weeks. Reminder to everybody and a heads up to everybody who has local let projects. Our next tip review meeting was initially scheduled for December. ODOT's lockdown was advanced a little bit this year, brought a few weeks forward. So that lockdown meeting is now November 17th. So open up your schedules there. Reach out to me, reach out to Christine Surma if there's a certain time that you need, if a certain time doesn't work. She will be working to send out an agenda to everybody with the project lists. So if you do have a project that's out there, if you have an idea about anything, reach out to me. Our TAP program is similar to our STBG. You'll start hearing about applications in the spring. We typically have applications due in September. So all three of these programs will have applications coming around in calendar year 2021. So look out for your emails, future TAC presentations. If anybody has any questions now, if not, feel free to reach out to me, email, phone, always here to help.
I don't see any questions. Thank you, Stephen, for the discussion on all those programs. Next, we got Ed. He's going to give us an update on the current round of funding, including the project scoring and upcoming meetings. Ed.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I had mentioned back in September, this year's funding round was put on hold for a while because of the COVID-19. But we got everything back on track, just a little bit late. Pre-applications were due October 5th, and we got 54 projects submitted for this round. Totaling up the grant amount is $10.9 million that the projects are asking for. The loan amount is $1.75 million. Now, our allocations for this year are, the grant allocation is $8 million, and the loan allocation is 1.77 million. Now those totals will go up a little bit because we do have some balances in our district, and some money does come back when projects are completed. So those numbers will go up a little bit more. The District 6 committee met on October 27th and began awarding points to these projects. The next meeting will be November 10th. They will be awarding points for regional significance. And then on December 1st will be the final meeting with the committee, and they will decide at that time which projects will receive funding for next year. If anyone would like to see the project list, just email me, because it's a great big long Excel file. So if anybody would like to see it, just let me know. And that's all I got, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ed. Yeah, I don't see any questions for you. So now we're down to the Executive Director's Report. Jim. Okay, Jim, are you here with us? Okay.
I got you now, I think.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
I'm sorry. Thanks everybody for participating today. Appreciate all the hard work of the staff. As you can see from the presentations, even though we're working remotely, we're still working and being very aggressive in our programs. Just a couple of comments on some of them, then I'll get to some initiatives we're continuing to chase. Want to continue to recognize the effort by the staff to deliver that $1.45 million grant, the power grant from ARC. It was a great effort, and that money's going to be well spent, really trying to bringing that high-speed internet to that corridor on the Smart 2 network. So that's good news. Good news also about the WRSP funding that's starting to move forward and into the next phase of evaluation, recognizing the Youngstown dams and then the Warren dams. Glad to hear that. And again, I think that works, because when we get the money, we utilize it, we spend it, and we show the results. And credit to the teams that have been involved from the public sector and the communities, to the consultants that helped us deliver to Lowville, the Struthers, and continue to move upstream with the ones in Youngstown. And we're going to get to the ones in Warren very soon here. So good news on all that stuff. I want to comment, Grant, appreciate his presentation on that safety job on 224. That's a $15 million investment in the area. That funding, I believe, is in 2025. And that was the presentation that was presented to the safety committee at ODOT in Columbus. That would go out to a consultant, probably get tweaked a little bit, but it's important to recognize what's being looked at, and it's important to recognize the investment in the area from our partners at the DOT. And I appreciate Grant's leadership to coordinate that locally with everybody. So that will get tweaked. It'll move forward, but that's a great layout of where we're going right now in order to attract that kind of money. Also appreciate the projects we have in the OPWC. It's always important to get those moving forward. Do want to comment quickly on a couple of initiatives that we're starting. I was asked to participate in the Ohio Traffic Safety Council. It's an initiative that's Governor DeWine's laying forward to work on to emphasize some of the accidents on our highways and the things that we can do to stop those. This initiative really started, it was really getting some legs prior to the pandemic, took a backseat, unfortunately, because of the pandemic, and rightfully so. Now we're getting up and running again and meeting as a committee. The focus on that is going to be 4 priorities: is impaired driving, youthful driving, distracted driving, and then there's a 4th one, which just talks about future initiatives. And I believe all those are going to evolve. That's going to focus more on what we can do to get that, to launch a campaign, to get to the drivers so they have a better understanding of the consequences, and probably really going to focus on high school and early drivers. But that committee is going to meet 4 times a year, but there'll be subcommittees that I'll be participating on in between those quarterly meetings, and I'll be glad to update the group as we move forward. I know the real focus under the DeWine administration, when this started getting some legs back, like I said, in January, February, was legislation to put in place to have consequences for texting and driving and distracted driving, stronger consequences. So I look forward to sharing more of those findings as we get down the into the new year. But just a quick update, the CARES Act projects that we've been talking about, the area put 3 into EDA, 1 from Bright, the Lordstown 1 for the water tower, and YBI also put 1 in. So good news on that. We look forward to hearing as that gets evaluated through EDA in Chicago. We're looking internally here at amending the EDA Lordstown Recovery Grant to possibly continue that hard work. I know the general policy, we gave an update, and we'll look to the WashU's progress on that initial grant and talk about some of the work streams or the diversification of the economy that we could be looking at if we get additional funding. So we're just working that over a little bit with EDA and seeing what's the best avenue for us to take to continue that initiative and continue to be successful. A few more things. We should be providing the broadband feasibility study. The evaluation process from the committee took place last week and into this week. I think we'll be looking to make an announcement of that early next week on the consulting team or consultant that we are moving forward with to start that 3-county broadband feasibility study. We had some great RFPs that were in, and what's really exciting is just the ability of that evaluation committee and the expertise that we've been able to draw from as part of that evaluation process we utilize as we move down the road. Last 2 things, we're looking to have that grant writing assistance RFP, a smaller contractor. We're going to go out and get a consulting help on board to assist our communities with any type of grant writing. We found and heard from our communities that that's a concern with staffs being short. That may be able to be a quick way to help some of our communities move forward and attract additional funds. And the last thing I just want to mention is I'm part of a Lake to River pipeline feasibility study group committee that's looking to get a feasibility study to investigate taking a pipeline from southern Ohio, down below Columbiana County through the 4 counties to the Lake area to one of the ports. Just starting, but there's got some real momentum with the group there. Where we're looking at is putting something together, a white paper together with some type of mapping, take to the governor and ask for some money for a feasibility study. So we look to try to do that before the end of the year. We feel that as part of the pipeline, if we can get ODOT and everybody to kind of buy into what we're doing, get a study out there, I think the private sector would pay for that 5 times over if we can put something like that in. But it's important to gather the information, study it, get the numbers, and then move forward like that. So I hope to have an update on that by the end of the year. I think that covers my list. I know there's a lot there. If there's anybody has any questions, I can certainly expand on any one of those initiatives, but appreciate the participation and hope everybody stays well. Thank you, Gary.
Okay, no, thank you, Jim. No, it's good to see a lot of initiatives are still moving forward. We're down to the General Policy Board resolutions for passage. I'd ask everybody just to go ahead and read through those. If you got any questions for the staff, go ahead and throw those in the chat box. Otherwise, they'll be sent out to everybody and we can vote on those via email. Okay, that brings us down to announcements. Are there any announcements for the TAC committee? Okay, yeah, I don't see any questions or announcements. Therefore, I guess we're adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
Okay.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you.